관점 시황방 오픈했으니 들어오셔서 많은 혜택 받아가세요. 지금 시장이 요동치고 있습니다. 월가의 전설 래리레파드가 비트코인과 시장 붕괴를 예측하며 충격 발언을 했습니다. 하지만 우리는 단순한 예측이 아닙니다. 우리가 직접 개발한 독자적인 지표 알파빗으로 역사적 급등 패턴을 포착했습니다. 이 지표가 가리키는 곳에는 2000% 이상의 상승 가능성이 숨겨져 있습니다. 그리고 그 신호는 방금 포착되었습니다. 래리레파드의 인터뷰를 통해 시장 상황을 정확히 분석하고 우리의 지표가 포착한 기회를 가져가세요. 절대 놓치지 마세요.
That just to cut to the chase, that we could see a lower Bitcoin price before we see a much higher Bitcoin price. And, by that I mean maybe something in the high 70s, something that starts with a 70, which I know is not what people want to hear. But I think it's possible. If it does happen, I don't think it'll last for long. And the reason I say that is that the Federal Reserve has already started to indicate they're going to loosen. They reduce the amount of quantitative tightening that they are doing from 25 billion a month to 5 billion a month. That's a big cut. And a concession, I think, on the part of Powell to help Trump out. And I think that when the market rolls over the way we're describing, it won't be long until the economy and employment and all the other indicators start to indicate softness too. And even though they haven't really licked inflation, they're going to look beyond that and just say, well, okay, time to get more aggressive about cutting, and they're going to cut. And when that happens, then Bitcoin's going to go the other way. And it's because that, in my view, will be the prelude to what will ultimately be coming, which, of course, is the name of the book, The Big Print. I also think by the end of the year, Bitcoin's going to be at 140 to 250. So that's December. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, and this is just a guess. I mean, I've been wrong a lot, probably be wrong about this too. But, you have to, when you're a macro guy and you're making investments, you're managing a fund, you got to try to make your best estimate of what's going to happen. And I think the stock market's in trouble, correlation between the high-tech stocks and Bitcoin. I think this cycle will break that correlation, that this will be the time when, the stock market will roll over and they will come with liquidity to try and prevent the downturn from occurring, and the stocks will ignore it, and Bitcoin won't. Bitcoin will go much, much higher. I also said to Nico, and I think this is really a big tell, will be when this stock market rollover occurs, watch what happens to the U.S. 10-year. Do interest rates go up or do interest rates go down? And the reason that's important is that if interest rates go up, that implies that they really don't have enough money in the system and that they're going to have to go to QE. Yeah. So, let me just elaborate on what I think is going on. And it's probably not what Bitcoiners want to hear right now. But, so I think if you look at what's going on, where we are in the movie, right? We're at the point in time where the U.S. stock market is about to roll over. It started rolling over, broke through some critical resistance. And we're in a little bit of a bounce right now, but I think we're about to have another leg down. And this is all being driven by the Trump policies, the tariffs and kind of the disruption stuff he's doing. And, the market doesn't like uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty. So, and the market is very overvalued, using any historical measure. So I believe we're about to enter a market downturn, a fairly significant one. It's kind of down 10% from the top. I think we could easily go down 20 and maybe even 30 or 40 over the next few months. And if that's the case, that's a negative liquidity event. Stocks get marked down and people feel less wealthy, and it's, a cyclical thing for the economy, et cetera. And so typically when that happens, all asset prices go down because people have to sell to meet margin calls, so on and so forth. And, as I was saying to Nico pre-show, Bitcoin's not immune from this, sadly. It is sound money. It should be a safety bid, but it won't necessarily get a safety bid. And so I'm actually of the view in yield curve control more quickly. I mean, typically history shows that when the stock market rolls over, the bond market ought to get a bid. People who are selling stocks, they go to the safe haven of bonds. If you're going to have a downturn, you're going to have a recession, you want to lock in a yield. That has not been happening recently. The first 5% down in the stock market, bond market caught a little bit of a bid and yields came down a bit. Second 5% down, the bond market went the wrong way. And I think this time, I think people are beginning to figure this game out, which is that we are in a sovereign debt crisis, noted by, $3,000 plus almost $350 gold. And Bitcoin, was at 106, admittedly down from that, but still both record highs within the last few months. And to me, those are both signals that the government is slowly but surely proving they can't solve this problem. And I think the reason the market's done as well as it's done right until now is that there's kind of a false belief that the Lutnick camp and the Musk camp, and the lovers of Trump, and by the way, I don't hate Trump. I just don't agree with everything he does. The lovers are kind of, they've got a lot of happy talk going on. We can land this plane. It's going to be okay. We can cut back this expense. We can, get the bond market down. I mean, they're talking about doing a lot of things that if they could do them, it would be a miracle. And so I think what's going to happen is it's going to become clear that that miracle is not likely to happen and that they're going to need help from the Fed to do it. And we all know what help from the Fed means. Help from the Fed means printing money, and printing money means Bitcoin and gold continue to go up.
And your answer was fascinating.
이제 여러분은 시장의 흐름을 명확히 파악했습니다. 래리레파드의 경고가 현실화될까요? 여기서 중요한 건 공포가 아니라 기회입니다. 우리의 독자적인 지표 알파빗은 백테스트 결과 역사적으로 2000% 이상 급등을 기록한 종목들의 패턴을 정밀하게 찾아냈습니다. 그리고 지금 같은 신호가 다시 나타났습니다. 이미 많은 분들이 문의를 주고 계십니다. 이번 기회는 오래 머물지 않습니다. 지금 바로 더보기란 또는 고정 댓글 통해 문의 주시거나 이것도 힘들다 하시는 분들은 이 번호로 급등이라고 문자 주시면 순차적으로 답변 드리겠습니다. 오늘 영상이 유익하셨다면 좋아요, 구독 잊지 마세요. 감사합니다.